Welcome to It Came From the Swamp. Start opening hand goes, yes, we will keep on this one. That is Grizzly Salvage, which I always love seeing that. We have Nature's Lore, which is going to be some turn 2 ramp and oh yes, this is got a little Jace action too. He came to see the see what came out of the swamp. So yes, this is a beautiful opening hand. I'm just going to lead off with Catacombs. And yeah, we'll just go and crack Catacombs. That way we can go and cover our commanders and get this this horror show going. So we do have Harbor. I think this one we'll just go and grab Watery Grave. Not going to pay 2. And then anything else, pass the turn over to our opponent. We are playing the Mimeoplasm. It came from the swamp itself. As the Mimeoplasm enters the battlefield, you may exile 2 creature cards from your graveyard. 1 enters the battlefield as a copy of one of those cards. Then we get the +1 counters of the other card. Invisible Stalker is a wonderful draw. It's going to go for Harbor. And just because our opponent does have blue, yeah, we're just going to go and jam Nature's Lore. I actually kind of like that a little bit better. But to say we could go for Grizzly Salvage main phase, but we want to get this land on the battlefield. So we do have, let's actually grab a black-green source. Let's go and grab ourselves Overgrown Tomb, have that come into play tapped, and then anything else, pass the turn to our opponent. We're playing against Sisay, Weatherlight Captain. Sisay is going to get +1/+1 from each color among permanent and legendary permanents you control. Then for a Wooburg activation, search your library for a legendary permanent card with converted mana cost less than Sisay's power, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So, all right, so we run into Prismatic Vista. I think at this point, I like going for Jace. We could try to go for Frantic Search first, but yeah, let's just do this. Let's go Prismatic Vista. We're going to go ahead and grab ourselves probably another blue source. I think that'd be a good bet. Let's go for Jace the Mind Sculptor. We'll get a little Brainstorm action going, get the 0 ability, oh yes, and then we'll be able to put, oh, there we go, hit a fetch land too. That's going to be perfect. So let's put Wasteland back on top, and then let's go ahead and put, I guess at this point, we'll put Hero's Downfall back on top. So anything else, pass the turn over to our opponent. Now, we did cover both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player. If you would like to feed Carnage Gladiator, feed the Carnage. Please consider using my TCG link. That'll help support the channel and make sure that Carnage Gladiator is fat and happy. Also, let's give a quick shout out to MTG. Ooh, Smothering Tithe. Okay. That is going to be interesting. But yeah, quick shout out to MTGOTraders. Check them out. You know, place a commander online. Do we want to start paying the 2? And we don't. Actually, no. Yeah, Hero's Downfall is not going to stop Smothering Tithe. So what are we doing this turn? We have nothing that we can go for. Draw 2 cards, Frantic Search. Yeah, I think at this point, I think we just go ahead and start paying the 2. So yeah, we're going to pay 2 for Smothering Tithe. We're not going to go for the Brainstorm ability, but let's go for Bloodstained Mire. Let's go for these +2 ability. We're looking at the top card of our opponent's library. Yeah, we definitely will put that on the bottom for right now. And then anything else? No, we're going to go and pass the turn. So we do have an open Grizzly Salvage. One of the good things about Grizzly Salvage is that it's going to reveal the top 5 cards of our library. So we're not going to have to play into that Smothering Tithe. Once we kind of see what our opponent's up to, then we might start playing into the Smothering Tithe. But if we can just kind of develop a semi-decent board state, we might end up going for that. Because with Frantic Search, if we can pay for those Smothering Tithes, that might help us out, not let our opponent get ahead too crazy on man. Oh, we got the Sisay Shrines. Okay, I'm digging this. In fact, if you want to see Sisay Shrines, I have built it. It is on my channel, so you can type in, go to YouTube, search Sisay Jolt, and that should pop up. So let's go and go for a Bloodstained Mire activation. Let's go ahead and crack that. There's nothing else that comes into play tapped or anything like that. So we're going to grab a Bayou. Let's go Grizzly Salvage. And that's going to be Phyrexian Dreadnought and then Glasspool. So with Glasspool, this is a new card for the deck. We have no creatures on the battlefield. I think at this point, yeah, we're just going to click OK because we actually rather have Phyrexian Dreadnought just straight in the graveyard. That does give us an option to go for Mimeoplasm. So there we go. All right, so let's go to our draw step. Let's pay 2 for Smothering Tithe. And we're just going to still end up going for this Fate Seal off of Jace. I think that's really going to help us out. So let's do that. So let's go for the +2. Look at our opponent, top card of our opponent's library, and see what they've got rocking over there. Aura Shards. I mean, we don't really have... I mean, we might get some Mana Rocks going, but I think if that's what they end up going for, I think we're okay with that at this point right now. So we get the Fate Seal down. And if we end up going for Frantic Search, it's not going to allow us to pay for Smothering Tithe just yet. So let's do this. Let's just go and pass the turn over to our opponent. We have an open Hero's Downfall. One of the things that we might want to set up with Frantic Search is going for something like Simic Sky Swallower or Invisible Stalker, and then casting Mimeoplasm to have some sort of threat on the battlefield. Because if you never played the Mimeoplasm, it is Sultai Reanimator, which is a ton of fun. But typically you want to get some sort of threat down that is going to close the game out with commander damage, and at the same time be very hard to deal with. And I think a Simic Sky Swallower with a Phyrexian Dreadnought, I think that sounds pretty good. And what we can do is, if we want to end up going for that, we can actually sequence a Frantic Search at the end of their turn. That way they don't have access to the most amount of mana. But I think at this point, yeah, let's see what they end up casting an enchantment, because we might end up going Hero's Downfall on Champion. If they don't get an enchantment, we kind of want to cut that card draw off. If you never played against Shrines, they can get out of hand very quick. So you need to be careful once they get all those shrines going. But also, MTGOTraders. Let's give a quick shout out to ingaming.com if you want to check out some of my mad play mats over there. We don't have the Flicker technology yet, but it is a daily conversation with R&D to make that happen one day. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to directly support cool content like this, there's a link down in the description below. But if you're keeping score at home, it is officially free time. So what we're going to do on this is we're going to play 2 into Smothering Tithe. They did tap out. This is their end step, so I think we're okay with this. Let's go ahead and chunk Invisible Stalker and get rid of Simic Sky Swallower. Ooh, we do get to untap our lands. That is great. Okay, I wasn't sure how that was going to sequence, so that is perfect. So we're going to go and pay 2 for Smothering Tithe. That's going to be 1, 2. And I know we're making PJ mad right now, but hey, giving our opponent a bunch of mana is something that you definitely don't want to do. So we're going to pay for Smothering Tithe, and that kind of keeps us open to where we can make the land drop next turn and still go for Mimeoplasm. So that's going to be a very good thing for us. All right, so let's go and pay 2 on that. There we go. Yes, definitely want to pay that. And I guess we'll just go and lead off with Tropical Island. Let's go for the 0 ability. We can actually go for the -1 if we want to. Yeah, actually, I think I kind of like going for the Fate Seal. So let's go ahead and Fate Seal our opponent. Let's definitely put that on the bottom, and let's go for Mimeoplasm. And yes, I did say bottom. Let's go for let's go for Mimeoplasm, and I think we're gonna have Mimeoplasm choose the creature. So we're gonna have it enter as a copy of Simic Sky Swallower, and we're gonna get the plus counters from Frex. Oh, look at that. That is beautiful. All right, so now we need to keep our fingers crossed that our opponent does not have some sort of board wipe. If they do, it's not the end of the world. We've still got some good options. We've got Invisible Stalker. Pretty much the only thing that we do need to find out of the graveyard to make Invisible Stalker a little bit better is just a higher power and toughness creature. But at this point right now, we've got a very nice threat out there. That's going to be Simic Sky Swallower. So now some of the other threats that we do have in here, this is not really Mimeoplasm combo or anything like that. We do have Sire Stagnation. We have Lord of the Void. We've got Giant Bug Face. One of my favorite things is playing Sultai Reanimator is getting these huge awesome threats out, you know, like Lord of the Void. If you're not familiar with it, it swings in and then we reveal the top 7. I could be wrong on that. Maybe the top 7 cards of our opponent's library. And you get to put a creature card on the battlefield, which is really a lot of fun. Giant Bug Face that's going to allow you to, once it deals combat damage, you can get an extra copy of it. And if you never had a bunch of Giant Bug, oh, that's a bummer. Okay, that's going to be Supreme Verdict. We can survive that. We're definitely going to return Mimeoplasm to the command zone, and at this point, we just need to find another answer. Now, we are looking at... We're actually getting pretty close to a Jace Fate Seal win. We got the +2, that's going to be 11. Yeah, we got 2 more turns, so at least we still have a win condition. I've never gotten the -12 with Jace, so we'll see if we can unlock that achievement today. Let's see what we draw into. The only other downside is that we need to get some sort of... Even if we do draw into a plus counter threat, we need to get some sort of way to dump it into the graveyard. So let's go and pay 2. And actually, we'll leave Wasteland up just in case our opponent decides to drop like Sarah's Sanctum or something like that. And then we go to our main phase. So let's go Yavimaya Coast. Yeah, I think we're okay with this. So let's go for the +2. We're going to look at the top of our opponent's library. Ooh, yes, we're definitely going to put that on the bottom. And then anything else, pass it back over there. So we've got 1 more Fate Seal from Jace. It's going to put it into ultimate range. We're technically 2 more turns. But at this point right now, we're just going to be playing the slow game. We could go for Invisible Stalker with Glasspool Mimic. as an option, but that would be at current score right now, that would be a 21 turn commander damage clock. So I don't think that sounds too fun. And also, I'm not entirely sure how that would interact. Yeah, we just have to do the counters and have it become a copy of Invisible Stalker. So there we go. All right, so we're going to Sanctum of Shattered Hides. All right, let's get Sisay. Eventually, they're going to go for Sisay, and with them getting these legendary permanents on the battlefield, that will kind of complicate our board state. But thankfully, we do have... they're going to end up going for Jace. So that's going to be 2. And at this point, we might... Yeah, they're going to have to chunk a bunch of land cards to do that, or a shrine card. So that's going to get rid of the Jace Ultimate. So at this point, yeah, we'll see. So we're kind of getting to this weird situation to where we might try to play into an open Smothering Tithe and then pay the 6 with Jace the Mind Sculptor. All right, opponent's going to completely tap out for Sisay. Let's go and jam this Hero's Downfall. We'll see if there's anything else to go for. And in fact, with that coming into play tap, we're going to go for that right now. So it's going to be black, black. And the good thing about this is it's going to allow us to get that commander tax going up on Sisay. And uh-oh. We'll see if... oh, no, excuse me. Sisay does go back to the command zone. So there we go. All right, see what we draw into for the turn. This can be another Misty. Yeah, we need to end up going for J. So we're going to go and pay 2 for Smothering Tithe. Yes, we're going to do that. And if that's our entire turn, that's our entire turn. So let's go for the 0 ability. Oh, there we go. All right, so this is going to be Living Death. We need to get a few more... Ooh, Hedron Crab. That is perfect. So let's go ahead and put 2 cards back on top of our library. Let's go ahead and put... So if we leave 1, we have not made the land drop for the turn. So we drop in Hedron Crab. Let's hold on to Living Death, and let's go ahead and put... We'll put Misty back on top, and we'll put Massacre Worm back on top. We're not going to pay for one of these triggers, but we're going to at least leave up just enough mana for Hedron Crab. So yes, we're going to pay 2 for Smothering Tithe. Let's go and pay another 2 for Smothering Tithe. And we're not going to pay for this last one because we need to get down Hedron Crab. So let's go for Crab. Get old Krabby Patties down. Let's go for Wooded Foothills. We're going to let this first trigger resolve because that's going to be Massacre Worm into the graveyard. Oh, yeah. Ooh, and then we run into Torrent Elemental. And I guess at this point, just so our opponent doesn't have any spot removal, let's go and crack Wooded Foothills, and let's go and grab ourselves Breeding Pool. Actually, we'll grab Forest because Flooded Strand can grab Breeding Pool. Let's go for another 3. Oh, look at that. Okay, so we're kind of getting somewhere. So anything else, we're going to pass the turn. So we do have the power of Hedron Crab. If you don't know about Hedron Crab is one of my favorite. Actually, give me just 1 second. Okay, sorry, I had my air conditioner on. It's a little bit cold here in Texas. Well, it's like, it's cold for Texas. It's like 40 or 50 degrees. And so, but it's been hot. It's been a hot October for us. It has been like 80, 90 degrees. And let me tell you something, 80, 90 degrees in October definitely does not flame the spirits of Halloween. So we've had our first cold front this weekend. I built a couple fires just to kind of get the chill out of the house. And so that's been a lot of fun. All right, so it's going to be Satyr Enchanter. Yeah, at this point, I really like, we might end up going for a Living Death. I think that's going to be the best bet. This is going to give us a really nice board state. That's going to be Massacre Worm, and then, not Hero's Downfall, Torrent Elemental. And we're going to be able to tap all of their creatures. Yeah, I like this a lot. So... And also, if our opponent's going to dump their hand to getting all their Enchantress pieces out, one of the cool things about Living Death is that Living Death will kind of act as a pseudo board wipe. Unfortunately, we're going to lose the Crab, but if they're going to be play out into this board state, this Living Death is going to be very, very nice for us. So that's going to work out. One of the things that we do need to watch out for is Hoden. It's going to allow them to be drawing a bunch of cards for their shrines. And if you heard that, Sturgill. He's recording with me today. He's playing with the coaster. And that's going to be Sanctum of Stonefangs. Lose X line. Okay, all right, so we're getting somewhere. All right, so our opponent's got the engine going. We might stop playing into Smothering Tithe and start going for some Jace activations. I think that might work, because at least we still have the Flooded Strand option, so... Because at the very least, we just need 5 mana for for Living Death. So let's at least just pay 1 on the Smothering Tithe. Yes, we're going to pay for that. And then we go to our main phase. And that's going to be us going for a Jace. Yeah, I think we need to go for this because we need to get as much action as possible. So let's go for the 0 ability. We're going to draw 3 cards. Yeah, we're gonna be yeah, go oh, Woodfall Primus. Okay. Alright, so now we're getting somewhere. Put 2 cards on top of our library. Definitely gonna put Woodfall Primus and live not Living Death. We definitely gonna put Woodfall Primus. I guess Snapcaster comes back and we go for Hero's Downfall potentially on something. We don't really have any spot removal out of our graveyard. We could go for Mystical Tutor. Yeah, let's do that. So let's put Snapcaster and Woodfall Primus on top. So at this point, we're looking Living Death and Careful Study. Yeah, we're going to let them get these 3 treasure tokens. When you're playing around Smothering Tithe, at least this is how I like to play around it. It gets to the point to where we can try to play around it all game, but we're just going to try to break the seal on the Smothering Tithe and generate a ton of value. So we're not going to pay for that. Let's go for Careful. Actually, we'll do this first. Let's go Flooded Strand. We're going to mill the top 3 cards. That's going to be Snapcaster and Woodfall Primus. Let's go for Flooded Strand. That's going to allow us to grab ourselves a nice breeding pool over there. Have that come into play. Okay, sorry about that weird edit. We have to draw. Yeah, let's do this. Let's go for Careful Study. My wife just got home, and then Sturgill just went bananas because my wife got home. So I'm trying to get back into it. So let's go ahead and discard. At this point, we'll go ahead and get rid of Spellskite, and I think Forbidden Alchemy. That's going to be okay. Okay, that's going to be 2 more off of Smothering Tithe, so we will be able to pay that actually off of Yavimaya Coast. And I think this will still work out. So let's actually pay 2 off of Smothering Tithe. And we go 2 more, and we go off of Mana Crypt. Yeah, I think that'll work, and that'll still give us just enough for Living Death. Yeah, let's do that. So it's going to be Wasteland. That's going to be Bayou. Let's go Mana Crypt. I wish we were playing Storm. It feels like we've got a lot of good stuff going right now. And let's go for Living Death. And unfortunately, we're going to miss out on Hedron Crab coming back, but we've got some pretty good options. One of the main things that we want to cut off is going to be this card draw from their Sanctum. That's going to be, oh, look at that. That is beautiful. Let's go ahead and destroy the card draw Sanctum. Let's go Snapcaster, and unfortunately, yeah, oh, that's right. We did put Snapcaster in there for Mystical Tutor, but we're going to miss on that one. So there we go. All right, so let's go Massacre Worm. Creature's opponent's control going to get -2, -2. That's going to be Mystical Tutor. Got a little ahead of myself with the other ones. That Mystical Tutor would have been nice. So anything else, let's go and pass the turn over to our opponent. Now, if our opponent does have spot removal, I'm not really sure what they'd want to get rid of on this board state. Maybe Woodfall Primus, but at least at this point, we do have Spellskite, which is going to allow us to kind of stop any sort of spot removal. So, okay, so we do have a Sanctum of Stone Fangs trigger, which is going to be chipping away at our life total, but at least next turn. So we've got Massacre Worm swinging in, and we've got Woodfall Primus swinging in. So that's at least going to be 12, and that's going to do a big... Oh, hopefully they don't have a board wipe. Let's see. Enters the battlefield, target creature phases out until... Okay, that's not bad. I got worried that it was going to be a... like Damnation or something like that. So they're going to target Woodfall Primus, which is, that's okay. We can survive off of that. One of the main things that we still have is going to be Torrent Elemental. Once Torrent Elemental starts to swing in, that's going to tap all of their creatures. And so that's really going to allow us to swing in with the entire crew. You know, even getting in for a little bit extra chip shot damage with Snapcaster Mage, that might make a difference. And hopefully we didn't bust anything open too wide with those treasure tokens. I think probably wouldn't have gone for that play if we didn't have, and actually, now that I think about it, we've got Glasspool Mimic. Enters the battlefield as a copy of a creature you control. So we can have it enter the battlefield as a copy of, I guess, Oh, they do got it. That's going to be Toxic Deluge. Okay, that's going to clean the entire board out. At least we do get a Massacre Worm trigger. So let's click OK on that. And then let's see what else. And then they're going to pop our Wasteland. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And I think we get to search for a basic. So I think we still have at least a forest and a swamp hanging around here if we haven't milled it. So let's go and grab ourselves another swamp. And at this point, I think we're just going to be ripping into Jace, going for that Brainstorm ability. The only downside is if we do end up trying to go for the Jace Ultimate, that's going to be -1. I'm trying to figure out what's going to give us the best bet swinging in next turn. So they have gotten down low on life total, and they do have active Metalcraft for Tezzeret. So that's going to be some really good card draw for them. So we're looking at the Mimeoplasm next turn, and that's going to be Massacre Worm, putting some counters on Invisible Stalker. Because at this point, we just need to start getting in as much damage as possible. I think that's going to work out for us. So All right, so we're going to choose Tails on this Mana Crypt trigger. Ooh, and that's going to be Thirst for Knowledge. So Mimeoplasm is going to be 7. Let's just go and tap down Mana Crypt. We're going to be okay on that. And then go to our main phase. So let's go for the... Actually, them having 2 cards in hand, we could possibly go for the Fate Seal option. So we're looking at 7 for Mimeoplasm. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to give us 3 mana left over. We don't really want to play into an open... Yeah, I think we just end up going Fate Seal again. All right, so let's go and Fate Seal our opponent. And if something does end up happening in a Mimeoplasm, what we can do is potentially leave Massacre Worm in there. Yes, we're definitely going to leave Chromatic Lantern on top. Yeah, and I think we go for this. Let's go Mimeoplasm. Yeah, and actually, now that I think about it, as much as I want to leave Massacre Worm in the graveyard, we need to get these counters going. So, anything else, let's go and pass the turn over to our opponent. This has been a very nice Mimeoplasm game. I've enjoyed it so far. You got Same Thing versus Mimeoplasm. We'll see if this can stick. And the good thing is our opponent is down to 11 off of that Mana Crypt trigger. So it could potentially be to where we get in with Invisible Stalker, and we might be able to kind of sequence up a Mana Crypt damage. Now, one thing that we might end up doing is if we're going to end up cracking that Smothering Tide next turn, we might go for Thirst for Knowledge at the end of our opponent's turn. That way they can't utilize that mana. If they get Sisay down, we might think about something with that. But at least with Thirst for Knowledge, if they're in step, we're going to be able to dodge that extra mana that they can hopefully utilize this turn. But this is why I play Commander. We've got it came from the swamp, Sultai Reanimator versus some shrines that's performing very well. In fact, if you've never built an Enchantress deck, I highly recommend it. It is a lot of fun. You can see the sort of board state our opponent might have been able to develop had we not gone for Living Death. They've got the Satyr Enchanter, they've got the Champion over there too. Just simply being able to get 2 to 3 card draw per turn off of an Enchantress engine is just one of the best things you can be doing with Enchantress. I don't know, it just generates a ton of value and it just kind of keeps the fun going. It's definitely one of those decks that even if you don't win, just the raw volume of card draw, oh, that's a good feeling. So let's see what sort of shrine damage we're at. All right, so we're looking at about 3 damage right now. That's going to drop Jace down to 8. We'll see if they end up going Tezzeret, making another token and going for the 0. At this point, I would probably start cashing some of that card draw. And that's going to be Calyx. So let's go and take a look at this because I haven't played against Calyx a bunch. So +1, look at the top 4 cards of your library, grab an enchantment card. -3, exile target creature or enchantment you don't control until enchantment leaves the battlefield. Return all enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So opponent's going to plus up on Calyx, and that will put it basically 3 turns away from the ultimate. So at this point, we might be able to jam an Invisible Stalker. I don't think we're going to be targeting Tezzeret or Calyx. We need to close the game out if we can. It's going to be very important. So let's get Sisay over there. And yeah, this Thirst for Knowledge is really going to work out next turn. And if we need to do something kind of, I'm trying to figure out what we'd even dig to that would help us out. Maybe some sort of counter magic. So that's going to be the Thopter token swinging across for 1. It's going to put us down to, swinging in at Jace. It's going to put Jace down to 7. Oh, dang it. We filtered through that one. Sorry about that. At least it'll give us an extra card for Jace. All right, so we're going to go and choose Tails on this one. I double-click the OK button. When a game wears long, stuff like this happens sometimes. Ooh, got the Scarab God. Okay, so we go Scarab God. I think we're actually, at this point, we're okay playing in this. We're going to click No on Smothering Tide. We're going to have as much mana as possible. Let's go and push in first with Invisible Stalker. And actually, let's do this. Let's go for the 0 ability. We're going to draw 3 cards. And it is what... Ooh, and then run into Entomb. Okay. Let's go and get rid of Rogue's Passage. And put that on top. And you know what we'll do? We'll actually go ahead and put Lord of the Void on top. We're going to have Entomb. Actually, we're going to put Thirst for Knowledge on top. So that's going to put us on going for the Scarab God, but I think at this point we won't have as much mana if we're going for that. So we're not going to pay for Smothering Tithe. Click No. Let's go and swing in with Invisible Stalker. That's going to knock them down to 7. We're going to skip past Calyx and Tezzeret over there. Yeah, it would have been nice to get that Frantic Search last turn, but sometimes you misclick or double-click on stuff. And then I guess we just cast the Scarab God. Yeah, that's going to work out because we should have enough for an activation too once we get the Scarab God down. And they will lose some life where X is the number of zombies that they control. So we might be able to close it out next turn. We'll kind of see what this turn has. They're almost going to have to deal with some sort of board wipe to get rid of Invisible Stalker, because depending on, actually they did end up hitting their Mana Crypt trigger. Now they will gain a little bit of life off of the Sanctum, but I think we can survive this. And the good thing is we've got just enough mana for Entomb and the Scarab God. And that's going to be a Tezzeret activation. We're going to go for a Calyx activation too. So we actually do have an Entomb with an open Scarab God. And so we'll see if our opponent has any sort of action dealing with the Scarab God itself. You know, if they go for a board wipe, we'll do it in response. Ooh. Actually, yeah, that'll work out perfectly. They're going to go for Bajuka Bog. There's not really anything that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't think, yeah, we don't really need anything on their side of the battlefield. If they want to dump it, that's fine. Yeah, we've got an answer and Entomb. So I'm just going to pop our Graveyard. It is a nice feeling playing a Graveyard deck and knowing that you've got a tutor for the graveyard. It's a pretty good feeling. Pretty much the only thing we don't want to see right now would be Rest in Peace. But even if they do go for Rest in Peace, we'll still have enough options to... Oh, okay. So that's going to be Cleansing. So we definitely need to get some damage done on our side. The only downside... Actually, we might be able to generate... That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we can actually end up going for 4 activations off of the Scarab God. That's going to be extra zombies, and that will be Invisible Stalker swinging across. So we might have it on this one. And especially with Giant Bugface swinging in. I think that might be... Or actually, Inkwell Leviathan actually might be the better option. So that's going to be Thopter swinging in for 1, because even if they have spot removal, we just don't want them to be able to split it up once it decides to swing in. So... There we go. All right, they're going to knock down Jace to 6. Let's go for the Entomb. We're definitely not going to double-click on this Entomb. Okay, and our opponent's just going to end up going for Sisay. Now, they do have the option to go for the Sisay Legendary Search. They do have at least 7 mana out there in treasure tokens. So at this point, we'll see if they're going to grab anything. That's a 7/7. I'm just trying to think of any instant speed legendary permanent... I mean, maybe. I guess the things that we'd be looking out for would be some sort of Planeswalker that would wipe the board, but if they're sitting at 7, that's going to almost cut them off Ugin or anything like that, if I'm looking at that correctly. So we'll see what else they have for it, but hopefully we should be able to grind it out if we end up going for Entomb in one of our either Trample effects or one of our Island Walk effects. Okay, so that will be our end step. Let's go for Entomb. There we go. All right, so we're going to go for Entomb, put a card into our graveyard. Oh, yeah. Let's see. What do we want to grab? Yeah, I think we just got to go Inkwell Leviathan. I like that. It's going to have Trample, Island Walk, Shroud. Let's go for that. So we're going to dump that into the graveyard. Let's go for Inkwell off of the Scarab God. And okay, there we go. All right, so we're going to get that to stick. That's going to be unblockable. Let's put the Scarab God trigger on the stack, and let's go Mana Crypt trigger. Let's go for the Scarab God. Is there any certain way that we want to sequence this? Yeah, so let's go for Champion first. Because we want to get some extra zombies, and we might be able to cash in some extra card draw if we get these triggers to stick. Okay, so we got Champion. Let's go for, and actually, if we start dumping these enchantment creatures on the battlefield, that's going to give us some extra card draw. There we go. Look at that sequencing right there. Very nice. Let's tap down one more. Let's go and bring the Dryad onto the battlefield. That's going to help turn all our lands into whatever color we need, but at this point, we're just going for... All right, opponent's going to scoop it up on that one. There we go. We have Inkwell swinging across. We have... Invisible Stalker swinging across for 11. The reason we're kind of trying to grind this out with extra zombie tokens on the battlefield is because, you know, they have an open Sisay activation that they can grab something. So we don't know, you know, when you have a complete free tutor for 5 mana out of your opponent's deck, you just got to play a little extra. Maybe it was win more at the end, but just goes to show you the proper sequencing with the Scarab God. You can see where we bring that creature out. We start bringing the enchantment creatures out. We're going to get that really nice Scarab God trigger upkeep and also get some card draw once those enchantment creatures enter the battlefield. So, hey, that's why we play Commander. We got Sisay Shrines versus Reanimator. That was a ton of fun. So, happy Halloween. Bye.